Argentina score late on to make it a tight finish against the Springboks. My name is Mark, let's talk rugby. Right from the kick-off, it seems like Grant Williams got completely sparked out by MacLeod. Basically, Williams receives the ball, he kicks it clear, but then MacLeod goes for the charge down and his momentum just takes him straight into Williams, absolutely smashes into him, and Williams just goes straight down onto the deck. It did look like to me that he was maybe knocked out at least for a second. Thinking at that stage, this could be a red card right at the start. They have a team review. MacLeod actually gets his hands to the ball, so he actually charges it down. And because of that, then referee Brace decides that there's no foul play and it's actually just a rugby incident. And like that's the letter of the laws, so you have to go by it. But it kind of feels a bit weird that someone can end up that way. But it's a tough game, but still, I think if MacLeod had not touched that ball, I think he would have, he wouldn't have got a red card, because now in the Rugby Championship it's a yellow and then it's a review, right, to see if it gets upgraded to red. But I think after review probably would have got upgraded to red if he hadn't got the charge down in. But then Williams, he goes off, replaced by Faf de Klerk. Very disappointed with Grant Williams, because it was basically 10 seconds into his very first start for the Springboks. Obviously wanted to show what he's able to do and doesn't get the chance. He doesn't come back on. De Klerk plays the rest of the game. And hopefully Williams is back soon. If he did get concussed, he's obviously got return to play stuff to do. We'll find out about that probably more during the week. But from here then, we start with an Argentina penalty for holding on 5 metres out. From there, they go through the phases. They win another penalty advantage. Can't really do anything with it. So then Carrera slots that penalty to open the scoring, 3-0 to Argentina. Creel then manages to charge down MacLeod on the Argentina line. But as he's going to kind of gather it, or at least dot it down, he loses the ball forward. So, a good chance there for an early score for him, but not able to do it. Argentina then come back forward, but Malcolm Marx gets over the ball and it looks like he's about to win a penalty, but Aronson hasn't rolled away, so it's actually a penalty to Argentina. Carreras then extends the lead from out wide. It's 6-0 to Argentina. Argentina then, they try to run the ball from their own 22 on the restart. Not sure why they decided to do that. The kind of thing that you see Italy doing all the time. You're thinking, just get the ball down the field. I can play that kind of rugby down there, but they don't. South Africa put on a lot of pressure. They've been very aggressive at the breakdown all game so far. They managed to turn it over through Kitshoff. Lebok then makes it 6-3 from that penalty straight in front. Argentina then get pinged for offside and South Africa kick up the line into the 22. They then manage to work the ball to within a couple of meters of the line. Leroux then puts a nice skip pass out to Etzebeth and he just runs over Carreras and scores in the corner. I think Carreras is trying to tackle him into touch or something, but it's Etzebeth. You're going to have to do better than that, to that. And it was kind of reminiscent of kind of Joe Malomu running over. Who was it? Oh, it was the English fullback. Whoever the English fullback was anyway at the time, Will something, right? But same kind of thing. Basically steamrolled over and went over to score. Lebok misses the conversion from out wide, but it's 8-3 and South Africa have hit the front. Lebok then, he kicks out on the full from a ball that was actually passed back into his own 22. Argentina got a decent chance to attack from the line out, but then Dutoy gets over the ball and wins a relieving penalty for the Boks. South Africa then win a penalty for Paulus collapsing a maul that was really making very good progress up the centre of the field. Lebok kicks this penalty into the corner. Ori then claims the line out and they set up the maul. Argentina, they're initially dealing with the maul. They're kind of, I wouldn't say halting it, but they're not getting much go forward. But then some of the backs come in for South Africa to get another burst of momentum, and then Dielende just comes through and somehow he's got the ball and he goes over to score. Lebok converts this one and it's 15-6 to South Africa. Leroux then takes his eye off a pass in front of his own post and drops the ball under pressure. He's got one eye on the guy that's coming to tackle him and just doesn't collect the pass properly. It's a 5 meter scrum to Argentina and a great chance for them to hit back. South Africa, they've been on top in the scrum all throughout the game. They're putting pressure on. South Africa do manage to get it out, but a couple of phases later, Kitshoff gets over the ball, wins a penalty for holding on. Just great defence there from the box. Argentina then, they've got another chance from a line out into 22, but this time they lose a forward. De Klerk then snipes and relieves the pressure. South Africa recycle it into the middle, but then Toy gets pinged for playing the ball on the floor, and Carreras manages to cut the deficit to 15-9 from the tee. We then have a long break for treatment to Paulus. He seemed to get his head on the wrong side. He was trying to tackle Dwayne Vermeulen, who was just coming at him full force and full flight. He goes off injured. Hopefully again he's not out for too long and it doesn't affect his chances for the World Cup. We restart with a box scrum. They go for a strike move. Leroux puts Arendse down the wing, but then he gets forced into touch, and that's half time. It's 15-9. The Boks are on top. Into the second half then, and we have Montoya. He takes Ori off the ball, and Lebok kicks the penalty right into the corner. Great chance for the Springboks. Etzebeth claims the line out, and Lavanini, he gets in there and turns the ball over in the maul. Really good piece of maul defence from him, and probably the best response that Argentina had to a South Africa attacking maul in the whole game. South Africa though win a penalty at the scrum, and de Klerk snipes from the penalty. They recycle it a few times, but then Ori loses the ball forward. He's then replaced by Snyman. Gallo then manages to get over the ball when Kitshoff is holding on. So a bit of role reverses for Kitshoff there, because he was doing the same thing to Argentinians the whole game. Carreras kicks to the post from just inside his own half, but it's slightly off target, and we're still at 15-9. From there then, Argentina, they're keeping hold of the ball, and they have some good bursts like Cinti and Lavanini, get themselves back to within a couple of meters of the line. Again, Kitshoff though, he gets over the ball and wins the penalty for South Africa. He had an absolutely stormer of a game, in the scrum and also around the park. Argentina then, they're still pinning South Africa in their own half and applying pressure, but they're just not able to get that score that would really bring them back into it. From here then, they go to one out runners. They're coming at pace and they're finding kind of half gaps, and they work the ball back into 22. De Klerk is pinged for not rolling away. Argentina decide to kick it for the corner. It's another big moment in the game. Gonzalez though, he loses it forward in contact, and it's a scrum to South Africa. Argentina, they won't go away though, and the toy gets pinged for take out a jumper in a line out. Carreras, though, he misses a very kickable penalty, and a few too many misses from him I felt from the tee today. Argentina though, they keep coming, and they get penalised for sealing it off though. South Africa punt the ball all the way up the field, and now it's Argentina under pressure near their own line, but then Cinti puts in a great clearance kick to bring it back to halfway. Etzebeth then gets pinged for rolling into the line, and South Africa, the whole team gets put on a warning. Argentina kick this one into the corner. They tried to spread it from the line out, but South Africa in there, putting him under pressure, disrupting. Eventually the ball goes to the deck. De Klerk bounces on the loose ball. He breaks and then puts Lubbock away to score from long range. Lubbock then converts his own try and it's 22-9. Big sucker punch there from South Africa for Argentina. Delende then gets a yellow card for slapping the ball forward. I think on its own it would have been a yellow card anyway because it looked deliberate, but the fact that they're on a team warning probably meant that it was going to be yellow card one way or the other. Argentina, they were looking to basically to break on it when he slapped the ball down. So then South Africa now have to finish the game with 14 men. Argentina again decide to go to the corner from the penalty. They go inside to the backs from there. They get the forwards involved then because not really making much ground. Then they decide to come back out wide, and Baroni actually looks like he might have actually blown the chance because he gets tackled short of the line, but he pops the ball off the deck and Carreras goes over to score in the corner. Carreras can't convert his own try from out wide. It's 22-14. Argentina then, they break, and some decent defense from South Africa means that the pass is kind of covered, so they decide to kick it instead. Colby gets there first, but he's forced to ground it behind his own line. It's a 5-meter scrum to Argentina. Argentina attack off the scrum and eventually they get held up over the line, but we're playing penalty advantage. So with the clock in the red, they decide to tap it. They initially they're getting driven backwards, but they work it back in, and then Bertrand, he goes over close to the post. It's converted for a final score of 22-21 to the Springboks. So let's have a quick look at some of the stats from the game. So three tries to 2 in favor of the Springboks. Argentina, so many chances, but great defense from the Springboks and maybe a lack of composure, at key moments from Argentina there as well. Meters carried 389 to 255. You see the Springboks look a lot better when it's backs and forwards combining, when they don't kind of go into that kind of old mode of playing 10-man rugby. Carries then 84 to 140, so you can see Box making so much more meters per carry than Los Pumas. Defenders beaten 16 to 25. Clean breaks 8 to 6, and there were a few clean breaks that led to chances, but it was really only like the break for I think the Lubbock try really that resulted in a score. Passes 92 to 184, so you can see the Argentina were keeping hold of the ball a lot. Offloads 4 to 11, some decent offloads from Argentina, like I talked about the one for the Carreras try, but Carreras also had a decent one in the build-up for the second try as well. Turnovers conceded 20 to 8, but I think even though the Box conceded more turnovers, I think they got the key turnovers in the game to kill momentum when Argentina looked like they might score. Defense 170, tackles 293. Missed tackles 25 to 16, turnovers 1, 5 to 6. So you can see a lot of those, turnovers that South Africa were conceding weren't actually Argentina winning the turnover. It was just kind of poor play from South Africa. But you can see as well they put in a great shift in defense. Kicking then 21 to 23 kicks in play. And you can look at the other stats there. We won't go too much into that, but I think that penalty goal, kicking accuracy and conversion kicking accuracy though for the Argentina really was key in the game, because they missed some kicks that they really should have got. Some were tough ones in fairness to Carreras, but there were at least 2 that he should have got, and they might have had an effect on the final score. I'm not going to say, sometimes you're kind of lulled into the idea that, well, if you had got one of those kicks, it was only 1 point game, so therefore they would have won. But if you had got one of those kicks, then it completely changes the perspective of the game, and possibly South Africa might have might have been looking for a score to seal the game rather than allowing Argentina to come forward at them to score that final try. So, you can't just say that, well, if we got that kick, the game is going to turn out exactly the same in every other aspect. It doesn't work like that. Breakdowns then. Rooks won 59 to 105. Rooks lost 2-5. So you can see again, South Africa are the ones that are putting the pressure on the breakdown. Rook percentage then 96.7 to 95.5. So pretty good from both sides. Mauls won 3-4, but I think South Africa's maul really was the one that had a deciding impact on the game. Lineouts 11-15. And both at 100%. Scrums 2-7, but even though South Africa scrummed at 66.7 and Argentina scrums at 70%, South Africa definitely were the better scrum overall. Discipline then, penalty conceded 12-10, and then that one yellow card. That yellow card was enough to give Argentina the ability to close it down to a 1-point game, but it was never enough for them to really threaten to actually win the game. Now, in terms of the two teams, I felt that, like, for Argentina, the likes of Cinti, I think, had a good game in midfield. Choco Boyres wasn't too bad either. Carrera's general play was okay, but again, kicking from the tee in the World Cup, that standard is not going to cut it for them. He's going to have to be better. I thought Lavanini was very good. Gallo as well around the park. Paulos, before he went off, was decent. Gonzalez was okay, but I felt that overall their back row was kind of outshone by the Springboks. And talking about the Springboks, I felt that, like, Etzebeth, excellent as always. De Klerk was brilliant when he had to come on so early, and it's probably the best game I've seen him play for the Springboks in a while. The back row then, I thought Van Staden did well, but Du Toit and Vermeulen seemed like they're getting up to the pace of Test rugby now. I felt like they were a bit off the pace in the opening game against the Wallabies, but they're coming up to that pace now, and given that, then their quality is coming through. Kitsoff was absolutely like a monster around the park, really good for them. In the backs then, I thought Lebok did really well at 10, and he really is kind of settling into that position. I think they look better when they have a 10 kicking rather than, when they had Willemse starting there. They had it was Colby was doing the kicking, and then it was de Klerk, and it just didn't feel right. I think, having a kicking 10 really does suit South Africa, but he's also a 10 that is aware of what's around him. He likes to, make a break himself. He runs good supporting lines, and he's good at bringing the rest of the backs into the game as well. And I think he's probably going to be the 10 for the Rugby World Cup, or at least I feel he should be. These two teams play each other again in Argentina next week. It could be another close affair, especially if Argentina get a good start and get that home crowd behind them. So it's going to be interesting to see how many changes each team make for that, and how that's going to affect both performances as well.